Hello and welcome to another episode of Supercoach Insider. My name is Chris, and today I'm going to take you through my team going into the next round, or round 6, and a little bit of an update on what happened in the last round, round 5. So, big trades happened last week, which is how I suppose we'll start the potty. And also, shout out to our sponsors in Splash Vodka and EarnU.io. I'm actually going to crack a little bit of one of these now, actually, and why not? Let's get that. Oh, that's a decent can right there. That's for sure. Ooh, fresh. That's actually quite nice. Nice. I'm happy about that.
I am here.
I'm on the sorry, Ben is here, but he's just sitting down having a break until we get to the next potty. This one's orange and passion fruit. It's actually like legit really good. Do you want to taste? Have you had? All right, sweet, nice. Awesome. Very nice. Thank you to Splash Vodka for that one, and we'll continue with that. But yeah, so big trades. I had a bit of a crazy week of trades. Started out, of course, I had Cripps, and I decided pretty early on, I thought, maybe I'll trade him, and then, the news came out that maybe only 1 weaker, and had to think about, what Cripps is going to be like for the remainder of the year. Like, is he going to be a guy that I think is top 8? And I suppose it really came down to the point where I do think he's top 8 and probably worth keeping because I'm probably going to want him back. And trading him out and trading him back for maybe a 30K, 40K saving. Other thing, and I think probably the biggest thing for me was I'm going to be wanting to trade him back the next week or two. But in those next week or two, I'm also going to want both Petraka and Oliver, who are both mids. And how can I get both of those guys and get Cripps and get any other value that pops up? Like, it's just going to really hinder my trade progression over the next few weeks. So I sort of had to look at other things. I'm like, okay, so if I don't grab Cripps, how am I going to cover his score? Because I have like some of the worst rookies for the midfield, and midfield rookies are just sucking. So then I thought, okay, well, let's bring in another mid, but how do I do that? And I had to look at my team, and I had to look at what I'm going to be trading in the next couple of weeks. And the clearest example was obviously having Bruce coming in. And Hayes obviously was rumoured at the time that he was going to be debuting with Lysette's going down with his shoulder last week and likely out for quite a while. Now, with those two on the horizon, I had to look at my ruck line, which was English and Grundy, and thought, well, to really keep flexibility there, and I discussed this a little bit on the pod, I want to try and bring in Bruce and Hayes, but that's going to landlock me if I move English into the forward line, and then I have Grundy, Bruce, and Hayes. I'm not going to be able to trade out of that because they're all ruck only, not ruck forward. And then I had a look. I was like, do I trade Grundy? Like, if I'm going to trade him next week to Bruce to avoid that landlocking, why wouldn't I trade him this week when I've got someone like Hayes who's going to have two potential weeks of good scoring on field before he goes back in the tank? So I've had a thought, and I went, that might be a good idea. And then I started having a look at Grundy's scoring versus Big O just looking for little things that I could use to my advantage. And the last 2 games, he'd only scored 89 and 104. And I thought, well, Grundy's not even in the form that he was last year, let alone the year before that. It might be actually a decent shout to trade him with a high break even. I think his break even was about 130. So, he probably wasn't going to lose too much cash, but let's throw the baby out with the bathwater and just risk it for the biscuit. So my trade was Grundy to Steele, which I did, which was pretty good. I was pretty happy with that at the end of the day. And the other one, of course, was who else did I bring in last week? I can't even remember. Was it a rookie? I already had O'Driscoll, so I didn't need O'Driscoll. I brought in Nick Martin to fix up my previous week's mistakes of not having him. So that meant that I could play Hayes at R2, which is what I did, which meant that he was on field and scored 50 points more than Grundy. And it also meant that I could bring Steele into the midfield to push one of the rookies to the pine. So that, unfortunately, it didn't really work out for me because I ended up fielding Mead, thinking that without Wines, he would have a decent week. That was an absolute mistake, but it still meant that I ended up scoring the week pretty well. So 22.77 was my my score for the week. And that's actually bring my rank into 1,000. Where is my rank at? I can't even see that. Where do you see your rank? Season rank 1,364, which is 9. I'm actually 9 points shy of Ben, so he's got like the crowing rights for maybe a week longer. Nah, he's got some decent cash. So I used the 2 trades. So now I'm down to 31 trades. Pretty decent week. Pretty happy with that, especially considering I was able to maintain Crips. So now having a look at what we're looking at this week. So hopefully, fingers crossed, guys, Cripper does come back this week. So there was a report this morning that he was chatting to some media types, should I say, and he said that from his perspective, he's looking all good. It's just now he's got to tick off the boxes with the medicos later in the week and make sure that they're all comfortable with everything. So that sounds pretty much to me as a normal thing. Like I think that makes sense. And I would suggest that he's probably, I think about 80% chance at this point. I think there is a slight chance that he does miss, but I think he's much more likely to play than not play. So hopefully he comes in. Now, the trades this week, I think this is going to be my first boost week for a couple of reasons. So I have Aaron Hall, which is really unfortunate, but I'm definitely looking at obviously moving him on because a second hamstring in the space of 2 months generally means it's going to be double the amount of initial recovery time. So you'd have to say it's at least 4 weeks for Aaron Hall until he's back in contention, which means that's a definite trade. So that's one that's got to go. The ones that are definitely coming in, obviously Bruce absolutely needs to come in, and I'd like to, obviously with Hall coming in, I'd like to be able to trade sideways, obviously, to a premium. Now, because I do have 5 premiums in defense, I have the luxury of moving Dacos back into defense, still having 4 premiums and trading into a midfielder, which is probably what I'm going to be doing. And the other one is obviously Roses. So I'm currently looking at, because of his break-even, I think it's just a break-even cash play at this point. He's 130K with a decent break-even. I'll probably bring him in too, and that's probably going to be for Raul. And what that'll do is that'll actually give me enough cash over the next 2 weeks to start to fund both Petrarca and Oliver, and potentially Parker is the other one that I'm looking at. So I actually think that Parker could be a really good play this week. But I'm a little bit worried about not having Petrarca this week as well, given that they're playing Richmond and they love to leak midfield points. So pulling the break-even cards, Parker's break-even is 118, Petrarca's is 132, and Oliver is 174. So Oliver's got probably 2 more weeks where he can drop cash, or you can just avoid trading him in. But the other 2, it's really, for me, a coin flip at this stage, who I'll do. So I'm not really too sure. But rolling through the changes, so as I said, I'm going to be rolling Aaron Hall out, Matty Rowell out, and the other one I'll be just getting rid of is obviously Jackson Mead as well. How do we activate this is one thing that's annoying. You can't activate the boost from within the trading window. Like, come on. Like, they really need to, do that. All right, let's activate the boost. Let's get that going. Let's get rid of the guys I need to. You get Jackson Mead out there. All right, so the first things first, got to bring in Bruce. So in order to do that, I've got to get some space in the midfield. So we're going to move Nick Martin into midfield. We're going to move Jack Hayes back into F6. And I'm going to trade in Bruce. So let's go ahead and quickly do that one. All right, Braden Bruce, come to my team. Welcome to Ruck 2, buddy. All right, now in defense, I am just going to move Dacos back there, so I'm not going to actually trade into defender. And now I've got 2 mids to get into, but I'll also going to want a forward rook because Roses is a forward. So I'm going to put Brody into the midfield for now, and he can play as my M7. And I'm going to trade in Rosas. So let's go Rosas. Here we go. And the last one, obviously, is going to be let's go to Petrarca for now. Let's go Petrarca, but I do see the merit in pulling in Luke Parker as well, who I think can potentially average 105 on the run home from here on in at least, putting him in the top 6 forwards. So, I just cancelled all that. That's real fun. Yeah, well done, Christopher. You're an idiot. All right, sorry. I'll quickly do this again, guys. Just because I'm an idiot. So now others are looking at, trading out guys like Horn Francis and who's the other guys that they're looking at? Oh, what am I doing here? Paddy Cripps. No, I'm not doing Horn Francis, Berry, etc. I think that there's a validity to trading those guys if you're going to be upgrading. Unfortunately, these trades, it sucks, but these 3 trades don't actually allow me to upgrade. Technically, I'm sideways trading and downgrading, but it does allow me to make those upgrades from next week. So I'm not like crazy upset about it, but it's just something to be aware of. Is that, if you're upgrading from those guys, that's much better than downgrading. But if you have a look at my finished team here, you'll understand what I mean. These trades do actually net me a lot of on-field points, and it will actually be better than my last week's team. So even though I'm only really sideways trading, it will actually improve my team substantially. So just something to be aware of. Petraka. All right, almost there, guys. Sorry about the stuff around. And the last one was Roses, right? Okay. So let's complete those trades. Put them through. That, as you can see, it leaves me with 250k. That's going to allow me to upgrade to Clayton Oliver next week or the week after, or Luke Parker next week as well. So that's the important thing. Now, what's great is that Adelaide play pretty early, so that means you can actually, if you've got Rochelle on your pine, you can actually loophole him this week. So I'm going to be loopholing Rochelle for Roses at F6. Hayes is still on field, obviously, with that next week. Ryder's obviously still not there. And then Bruce on field as well, which helps me there. I've been managed to move Nick Martin to the midfield, which enables me to play him at M8. With the other 2 rookies at the moment as well, Dacos and O'Driscoll. So, as I said, all the rookies that are actually on field for me now are actually quite good, and the only one that's poor is going to be Roses, and which I can loop with Rochelle. So it actually works out in my favour. In regards to the vice captain and captain, I really don't think you can go past, unfortunately, the same thing that we did last week, except you'll be vice captain McRae and then captain Neil. Again, if you're not hitting those guys at the moment, you're probably falling behind because they seem to be the most consistent and best captain scorers. So that's what I'm looking at doing. And guys, if you have any questions, throw them into the comments. Love the banter back and forth. You can sledge me if you like for trading Grundy, but it looks like I won this week, guys. So, well, unfortunate for you. All right, guys, I'll catch you later. Have a good one, and we'll talk soon. Cheers.